Some scenes, despite being real, look like they came straight out of a film and truly astonish. With cameras everywhere, the unexpected is always one click away from being captured. From spectacular escapes to moments of pure courage, we can find recordings that will certainly surprise us, and that is precisely what we are going to see here today. The security camera in an elevator caught the bizarre moment when a couple used the space in a completely improper way. They enter the elevator and right away, the man walks to a corner of the space to simply urinate. That is exactly what you heard. He urinates in the elevator as if it were some kind of public restroom. The funniest part is that his companion, who is standing next to him and sees everything, does nothing and appears to agree with it, making the moment even more bizarre. Because the couple was exposed through the camera footage, many people began to suppose that they were drunk coming back from some party, but of course, even so, that would not justify the act. On the morning of Saturday, a box truck rented from the Penske company exploded on a residential street in Addison, a suburb of Chicago in the United States, due to a leak in a propane gas tank inside it. The video, captured by security cameras, shows the exact moment the truck explodes and hurls debris for up to 2 blocks. The explosion caused damage to 4 nearby houses. One of them was evacuated due to structural damage, such as a displaced support wall. The driver emerged practically unscathed, suffered only minor injuries, and was taken to the hospital for evaluation. Investigators, including the fire department and the bomb squad, concluded that it was an accident caused by a leak in the propane tank, with no suspicion of criminal act. Penske stated that the vehicle was rented for residential moves and reinforced that, according to the contract, it was not permitted to transport flammable materials such as propane, and committed to cooperating with the investigation. An incident that occurred in Fuzhou in eastern China a few years ago was widely shared on social media and went viral quickly. A boy was waiting for his father in the elevator and, to keep it open, wedged the handle of his umbrella between the doors. Suddenly, the elevator closed completely, crushed the handle, and went into free fall. The elevator only stopped on the 25th floor, trapping the boy inside in a very tense and terrifying moment for him. Fortunately, the rescue team arrived quickly and freed the boy without significant injuries. The incident served as an example to warn people never to try to stop elevator doors from closing with objects, since that can disable sensors and cause unexpected drops. Fortunately, on that occasion, nothing serious happened. Footage released by authorities in the United States shows the final moments of a man who was sucked into an airplane engine. Kyler Effinger died on New Year's Eve after trespassing onto the tarmac of an airport in an attempt to board the plane that was about to take off. The recording shows Effinger nervous as he realizes he had missed the flight. He tries to open a door leading to the runway and breaks a window with a sneaker. Then he accesses an emergency exit and manages to enter the restricted area at Salt Lake City International Airport in the state of Utah in the United States. The man runs and waves toward the airplane. However, as he approaches one of the doors on the left side of the aircraft, he ends up being sucked into the engine. The video cuts off seconds before the incident. Effinger had planned to travel to Denver to visit his ailing grandfather. According to the New York Post, relatives believe he experienced a mental health crisis and for that reason took such an action. Grace Emmy Rose Mullane was a British tourist who was murdered by a man she met on the Tinder app in a case that went viral quickly on the internet. Grace met Jesse Shane Kempson via Tinder on December 1, 2018, the night before her 22nd birthday. They drank together and Kempson invited her to his apartment. She went, and once inside, he strangled her until she lost her life. Then he hid the body in a suitcase and buried it in a remote wooded area. Because she did not respond to birthday messages, Grace's parents found it strange and reported their daughter missing. Through security camera footage, the police were able to trace Grace's last steps and thus arrived at Kempson, who was arrested. In one image taken in the elevator of his apartment, he appears leaving the place carrying a suitcase in which Grace's body was hidden. In November 2019, Kempson was convicted of homicide and, in February 2020, received a life sentence with a minimum of 17 years before being eligible for parole. He was also convicted, in 2020, of sexual assault against 2 other women, sentences to be served concurrently with the main penalty. During an episode of the show Beachfront Bargain Hunt on the HGTV network, in May 2018, Dr. Eric Voigt, a surgeon from New York City, noticed an unusual lump on Nicole McGinnis's neck as she appeared on the program. He posted an alert on Facebook asking Nicole to get an ultrasound exam due to a suspected thyroid nodule. Through the social network, he managed to make contact with her, and she underwent the exam. The result was thyroid cancer. Nicole, who had already overcome brain cancer before, began treatment for her thyroid immediately. She and Dr. Voigt met and celebrated the outcome, since he was able, so to speak, to save her life at that moment. The case demonstrated the power of social media to connect health professionals and patients, saving lives, and it also reinforces the importance of paying attention to changes in the body that often go unnoticed. In the early hours of October 25, 2016, 2 security cameras captured 2 armed men breaking into Alvara's house, while his 2 grandchildren, aged 10 and 13, slept on the couch. One of the intruders carried a firearm, which he pointed inside the house, while the other was seen rummaging through rooms, even beside the sleeping grandchildren. A cell phone, credit cards, and Alvara's registered .38 caliber gun were stolen from the residence and the vehicle. The footage was posted online and quickly gained traction. At the time, the suspects had not been identified or arrested. The police asked for public assistance through communication channels. In response, Alvara strengthened home security with new locks and external lighting. A woman in China was filmed slapping a man after he touched her intimate parts on an escalator. In the video, the man thrust his hand to touch a woman's buttocks while she was riding up an escalator. The woman, annoyed, turned around, delivered a slap to the attacker's face, and then grabbed his arm. She dragged him up the escalator toward the exit, where she handed him over to the authorities. He was detained and remained in custody for at least 5 days. The video circulated widely on social media, and many praised the woman's courage for reacting and bringing the attacker to justice. In 2022, a video went viral on social media showing a woman catching her husband leaving a motel with her own sister. The woman involved is known as MC Rosie Matz, a singer, dancer, and digital influencer from Itacoatiara in the state of Amazonas in Brazil. She has thousands of followers on social media, and after the video in which she appears on the back of her lover being caught by his wife, which makes clear in the footage that the 2 were siblings, she decided to speak out and explain that the man caught is her adoptive brother, with no blood relation to her. In other words, the betrayal did indeed occur, but they were not blood-related siblings. According to her, they were raised separately and only grew close in adulthood when their relationship began. She also mentioned that his wife forgave him after the incident. In 2016, 3 inmates escaped from the maximum security wing using a contraband cell phone to document the breakout. In the video, one can see how they made openings in the steel bars of the cell, crawled through ventilation ducts and internal pipes up to the prison roof, descended from the roof with improvised ropes, namely tied bedsheets, and finally escaped. After the breakout, they stole a taxi and a utility vehicle and held the driver hostage. The video, filmed with the smuggled phone, was released in mid-2017 by lawyers and media outlets such as ABC News, NBC4, and CBS, highlighting the detailed method and the almost cinematic aspect of the escape. A few days after the event, one of the escapees turned himself in, and the other 2 were captured the following day by police officers who had obtained more information. A prison guard was the victim of a criminal's boldness while serving meals in the cell. In the footage, we can see her approaching along the corridor, bending down near the cell and thus beginning to remove the meal containers from a box. At that moment, while she was distracted, one of the inmates stretched his hand through the cell bars and yanked her hair with all his strength. She became trapped there, with the criminal pulling, while other prisoners tried to reach for the weapon on her belt. By great luck, another officer nearby heard something strange and arrived in time to rescue the guard. The entire scene was captured by the prison's security camera. Had the other guard not been nearby, the criminals likely would have reached her weapon, subdued the guard, or even taken her life to initiate an escape or riot. Fortunately, despite the scare, everything ended well. A video recorded by a security camera shows men dressed as DoorDash delivery drivers arriving at a house in Spring, Texas at around 1:20 in the morning very suspiciously. While a woman knocks on the door pretending to be a delivery person, 4 accomplices break into the backyard, damage a window, and attempt to enter the home. They fail to gain entry and flee in a dark sedan at around 2 o'clock in the morning. The footage shared on social media shows the suspects' entire action as they tried everything to break in. Fortunately, they did not succeed. The sheriff at the time spoke out and warned the public using the video as an example, saying it was not advisable to answer the door late at night or to open one's home to unconfirmed delivery drivers. An unusual case occurred in Michigan in May 2015 when an animal, specifically a parrot, was a witness to a crime. Glenna Durham, aged 49 at the time, was found guilty of first-degree murder of her husband, Martin Durham, aged 46. Glenna fired 5 shots at Martin with a .22 caliber gun. Then, she attempted to take her own life and was found with a head wound. The couple's parrot, Bud, a gray African cockatoo, allegedly repeated phrases like "don't shoot," reproducing tones and emotions similar to Martin's moments before he died. Although the parrot's recording was not used in court, it was investigated as possible evidence and made it clear that someone had indeed said those words. In August 2017, Glenna was sentenced to life imprisonment with no possibility of parole, serving time for homicide and weapons charges. Family members reported that the couple faced financial problems driven by Glenna's gambling addiction. The media highlighted the parrot's unusual role as a witness. Celeste Ayala, an Argentine police officer from the Berisso Patrol Command, gained international recognition in August 2018 for an act of compassion that went viral on social media. During an extra shift at the Children's Hospital, she heard the incessant crying of a 7-month-old baby who had been separated from his mother by court order and showed signs of malnutrition. Mother to an 18-month-old child whom she was still nursing, Ayala asked the medical team for permission to breastfeed the baby, immediately soothing him. The scene was recorded by her colleague Marcos Heredia, who shared the image on social media praising Ayala's action. The post quickly spread, gathering thousands of shares and praise for the officer's gesture. In recognition of her act, the then Security Minister of Buenos Aires Province, Cristian Ritondo, promoted Ayala from officer to sergeant. In his speech, he greatly praised Ayala's attitude, saying he was very proud of the officer and of the entire regional police department. Don't forget to subscribe so you can watch more videos like this.